The Cobra incident. In 2008, Tivoli Friheden in Aarhus, Denmark unveiled its newest thrill ride, the Cobra. But only months later, tragedy nearly struck. The front car had detached from the track mid-ride, injuring 4 young passengers. They suffered broken bones and concussions. Despite this, however, the park made repairs and the Cobra continued operating. But on July 14, 2022, the Cobra failed again, and this time it was deadly. As the train sped through the course, riders felt a violent jolt and heard the sound of metal snapping. The rear car broke free from the track. The last row of seats was left dangling, hanging halfway off the track. Panic spread through the riders. And then, disaster struck. A 14-year-old girl was thrown from the coaster. She hit the ground below and was killed instantly. Beside her, a 13-year-old boy somehow clung on, surviving with a severe hand injury. The train ground to a halt. Park staff evacuated the area. The poor girl could not be saved. The next day, the Cobra was dismantled. Its steel spine was ripped apart and carried off as if the park was burying something evil. For 14 years, the Cobra had been a ticking time bomb, and when it finally went off, it made sure no one would ever ride it again. The Mindbender incident. It was June 14, 1986. The West Edmonton Mall in Alberta was crowded with visitors. The Mindbender, a triple-loop steel roller coaster, had 4 cars connected in a train and reached speeds of 60 miles per hour. That evening, Rod Chico and 3 friends boarded the last car. The train completed the first 2 loops, but as it entered the third, 4 cap screws in the wheel assembly failed. The last car fishtailed violently before derailing completely. The lap bar restraints unlocked, ejecting all 4 passengers 30 feet to the concrete below. 3 passengers died that night. Rod Chico survived but sustained critical injuries, including shattered legs, ribs, shoulder, pelvis, and lower back. His body was folded in half from the impact. Investigators cited design flaws and inadequate maintenance. The Mindbender was closed for months for redesign and safety improvements. The Batman incident. It was June 28, 2008. 17-year-old Asia Lean Ferguson visited Six Flags over Georgia with her family and church group. Among them was the Batman, an inverted roller coaster where riders' legs dangled freely beneath the track, swinging in the air as the cars twisted and corkscrewed at breakneck speeds. Asia eagerly boarded with her group, unaware that a simple mistake would lead to tragedy. During the ride, a gust of wind caught her hat, sending it tumbling into a restricted area directly beneath the tracks. After the ride ended, curiosity and determination got the better of her. She climbed over 2 6-foot fences, ignoring warning signs that clearly marked the zone as off-limits. As Ferguson searched, the rhythmic clatter of the coaster grew louder, a sound that would soon become terrifying. Another train approached, moving at roughly 50 miles per hour. The dangling foot of a passenger struck her in the head, an impact so sudden and violent that she was decapitated instantly. Witnesses were frozen in horror as the ride continued its course above the scene. This was one of the saddest tragedies ever recorded at Six Flags, leaving family members and onlookers in disbelief at how quickly joy turned into despair. Park staff quickly shut down the attraction when Asia's empty seat arrived back at the station. Emergency responders rushed in, but it was too little too late. The ride reopened weeks later after Six Flags added additional fencing, more security personnel, and extra warning signs, but the tragic memory of that day remained etched in the minds of all who heard the story. The Shockwave incident. It was August 23, 1999. 20-year-old Timothy Fan visited King's Dominion with a friend. The Shockwave was a stand-up roller coaster where passengers stood upright, secured by shoulder harnesses and waist bars. Fan boarded the 6-car train. As the train climbed the lift hill and began its descent, witnesses noticed something was wrong. Fan struggled against his restraints and managed to free one arm from the shoulder harness. His body twisted dangerously as the train raced along the track. Near the end, the coaster entered a sharp 180-degree curve. The forces acting on his body were too extreme. Fan was violently ejected from the train and thrown 40 feet onto a catwalk beside the tracks. He died instantly from head trauma. When the train returned to the station, his restraints were still locked. He had deliberately freed himself during the ride. The Shockwave reopened 3 days later. The Matterhorn bobsleds incident. On January 3, 1984, Dolly Young, 48, visited Disneyland with 5 friends. The Matterhorn bobsleds featured small sleds traveling through an artificial mountain at 43 miles per hour. Dolly Young climbed into her bobsled alone, her friends racing alongside on the parallel track. The sleds plunged into the twisting tunnels of the Matterhorn, rattling and shaking as they gained speed. Suddenly, midway through the ride, something went terribly wrong. Young slipped and tumbled from her sled, landing helplessly on the tracks below. The bobsled on the neighboring track bore down on her, and for a terrifying moment, no one could grasp the danger. The family in the oncoming sled froze, thinking the figure on the rails was a dummy, unaware of the horror about to unfold. The impact was instantaneous. Young was struck with full force, ending her life in a single devastating moment. Screams echoed through the tunnels as the operators scrambled to stop the ride. The Matterhorn reopened the following day with modifications made to the ride, though the details of the changes were never publicly disclosed. The Wildwonder incident. It was August 28, 1999. Kimberly Bailey and her 8-year-old daughter Jessica were full of excitement as they approached Jillian's Wonderland Pier in Ocean City, New Jersey. The sun shimmered off the steel tracks of the Wildwonder, a modest roller coaster that promised thrills despite its small size. The car was slowly pulled up the 40-foot incline, the clanking of the lift chain echoing in the warm afternoon air. As they neared the top, a chilling moment froze time. The anti-rollback mechanism, meant to prevent the car from sliding backward, failed. With a sudden jolt, the car lost its grip and began rolling backward down the incline. The speed increased with terrifying momentum, and screams pierced the air as passengers realized the danger too late. The car crashed violently into the loading area. Kimberly and Jessica were thrown from their seats in an instant, their lives ending in a heartbeat. Park visitors could do nothing but watch in horror. Investigators later revealed that the park had replaced the crucial anti-rollback device with an unapproved, locally made component. The Wildwonder was permanently removed from the park, and New Jersey swiftly updated regulations to require manufacturer-approved parts on all rides. Yet no regulation could bring back Kimberly and Jessica. This tragedy remains a haunting reminder that even a seemingly small ride can carry unimaginable risk, and that vigilance and proper safety measures can mean the difference between life and death. The Son of Beast incident. It was July 9, 2006. The wooden monster known as Son of Beast at Kings Island roared to life. The coaster was famed for its speed, reaching a terrifying 78 miles per hour. However, whispers of rough jolts and track malfunctions had followed it since its opening. The coaster had previously caused injuries in 2001 and 2003, showing that warnings had gone unheeded before the catastrophic 2006 incident. On July 9, 2006, a total of 27 passengers climbed aboard. Eager for thrills and adrenaline, the train creaked as it ascended the first hill. The wood groaned under the strain, an ominous warning ignored by many lost in laughter and screams. As the train hurtled along, a support beam, weakened by repeated stress and unseen cracks, finally gave way. The tracks sagged just enough to turn excitement into chaos. The next train hit the compromise section, jolting riders violently, throwing bodies forward, twisting limbs and shattering bones. Screams echoed over the roar of the coaster, mingling with the grinding of metal against wood. 27 passengers were rushed to hospitals, some with injuries that would haunt them for life. Despite attempts at repair, Son of Beast never regained its former glory. The wood and steel seemed to carry the memory of that day. In 2012, the Beast was finally torn down, its towering structure reduced to memories and cautionary tales. It remains a chilling reminder that even marvels of engineering can hide deadly flaws. The Quimera incident. It was September 28, 2019. La Feria Chapultepec, Magico in Mexico City, welcomed visitors eager for thrills, but the Quimera, a triple-loop steel roller coaster, carried a silent menace. The ride, aging and poorly maintained, had already raised concern among park employees, but nothing warned the passengers of what was about to happen. As the train raced toward the final loop, the last car began to shake violently. Passengers screamed as it derailed, hurdling two riders aged 18 and 21, 33 feet to the ground. Their lives were cut short instantly by severe head trauma. The chaos didn't end there. Two women were violently thrown against the structure, sustaining serious injuries. Investigators later discovered a broken axle, a fatal flaw that had been overlooked for years. Authorities acted swiftly, closing the park and revoking its permit. Months later, the historic amusement park was permanently shut down, leaving behind echoes of screams and a grim reminder of the cost of negligence. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more videos like this one, and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video.